Okay, part 3. So now we wanted to remove the vacuum hose, the vacuum pipe rather, which is this one. Just makes life a little easier. If it doesn't come out, it doesn't come out. When in my case this part is frozen right here, and it tries to come out from the intake, from the block down there, which is not good. This one came out easy, 19mm, came right out. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to heat it up. I'm gonna try one more time to break it loose, see if I could. If I could break it loose, then I'm going to remove it. If not, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna work around it. So I have my little mini torch. Just gonna torch it up, heat it up, see if I can get it out, because there is some thread lock on it. There's no seal on it, so I can heat it up. Hopefully I can break it loose, because it would be really nice if I can take it off. And it's easier to have it off. There's more room. Because throttle body comes out, and every single 1/8 of an inch is needed to remove this thing. Because you do not want to remove your whole intake for this. The other way. See what happens. Get this out. Come on now. Come on. Come on now. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes, sir. There we go. And it came out from the block, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So in this case, what happens, we have to remove retainers from the pipe itself. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these things. This is the harness. The harness is held with these Allen bolts. So what's the size of them? Let me just tell you right now in a minute. You have to lift it up because there's one bolt underneath. It is 5mm, two 5mm bolts, and one right here. Okay. Again, you do want to be very careful, very gentle with the harness. You don't want to move it around too much. It's very advisable not to even touch it, but again, this is something that has to be done, unfortunately. Underneath you will find a 10mm head. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just raise it. I'm gonna use a regular 10mm wrench, open end, to remove it, just to minimize chances of moving the harness up and down like crazy. You want to just even not touch it. So what we're gonna do is we'll lift it up as much as we can and loosen this bolt up. So once this pipe is more or less loose, it might come out. Shut down the heat. Okay. So I'm gonna take this off. There is two 10mm bolts that hold that pipe in place. Let me pause the video for a minute. Okay, so this bolt is gone, as you can see, and there's another one right here. This you also have to loosen up, remove it, so the pipe is free to move. So then we can maneuver it out. Okay, as you can see, it starts moving. Now it's gonna be a little tricky still, because I have to bend it a little bit. Okay, because if it comes out from the block down there, which is not good, but that's what I have, that's what I'm against. So I'm just gonna work it out, the block. And then I'm gonna separate the two after all. Okay. This is very important holes in the pipe rather. This is your brake booster, so you do want to make sure you put it in nice and tight. You do not want to lose your brakes if you don't do this right. Okay, so it's gonna get a little tricky here because it has to go up, and now it's loose, so we're gonna have to work it out from underneath. Come on, a little bending here. Again, we're gonna separate it. It's gonna come in, it's gonna go in nice and easy after all. All right, here, so we have, ooh, gooey, as you can see, dirty. I'll clean it up while at it. And as you can see, it's actually free over here now. You see it's moving. So we're gonna separate the two. I'm gonna put this in. Also, there's a ring, okay? There's a seal ring, metal. Do not lose this piece that goes on the intake. Having that pipe out is actually even better. It's easier to work with throttle body with that pipe completely removed. So it's up to you if you want to go that way. I usually don't remove it, I just remove the top portion. But if it came out, well, it came out, let it be. Okay, now we have this pipe out the way. We have to work on linkages. Linkages is not that difficult, but there's a very spring that is a very hard to put back on if it's lost. So I'm gonna have to set the camera up somehow. Let me show you the spring first. So here's the linkage right here that we're talking about, this piece. Now if you put too much force, you're gonna break the ball right here. This is a low ball. So first you want to disconnect this linkage. You just have to see how it comes out. So let me just feel it out first. See if it's coming out all right. Yeah, it should be all right. It would be nice to use 2 screwdrivers at this point, because you do not want to break the ball. I've done this a few times, so not like I would say don't try it at home, but it is a little tricky. So let me try to set the camera down here, and I use 2 screwdrivers to remove it, because it's safer like that. I can't really set it up so you can see it, unfortunately, but alright, so I'll just leave it here then, I guess. Alright, so let me get another screwdriver. By prying with 2 screwdrivers, it's just gonna be a little safer. Sorry for like not showing you this, but I have to fix this over after all. Customer's throttle body. Almost. Just watch out for that little spring down there. Come on, little ball. There we go. Alright. This is out. So, what we want to do next, as you can see, I just separated the two. So that's very good. What you want to do next is get this linkage out the way. It's a good practice because you don't want it to be around when you work on throttle body. When you put it back in, you have to release the linkage. Well, I'll show you when I do the video. Basically, I'll show you real quick, hold on. Now, this is the linkage that activates it, right? So if I pull on this piece, as you can see, moves out the way, inwards. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna push it all the way in close position. I'm gonna put zip tie on them. Probably gonna need 2 zip ties on this one, just to keep it out the way when we work on throttle body. So I'm gonna just zip tie this. Okay. And my glove is zip tied in it too. Okay, very well. Now, zip tied, it's good to go. You can see that linkage, little extension, one inside. Barely see it, but anyway, it went in. So it's as much out the way as we could get it. Now the spring, this is very important. In famous spring, that could be an extreme pain in one spot, maybe two spots, to actually latch it back on. Here's the spring. See, it sits right down there. It latches on to the linkage on the throttle body itself. See, it brings it. That's the spring. Now this spring attaches somewhere deep inside. So I never had that spring lost, so I have good record on that. But people reported that when they remove throttle body, spring shoots out and there's no way to get it because they can't see it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a pick and I'll show you what I do with spring. Pause it for a second. Okay, let's continue on this. So here's our spring. Let me go on the other side. Alright, now you can hold the spring from here so it doesn't shoot, and use a pick to actually disengage it. The camera's in the way. Alright, well, I'll do it again. You can actually extend it, hold it in extended position too, and then you can remove the spring with the pick still because you have it tensed up. Raise up the spring. Okay, now it's disconnected. Still under some pressure, so you want to make sure you release the pressure very easy and slow. That's what I'm doing right now. Easy, 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 and easy, easy, easy. Not the best pick in the world, but here we have pressure off the spring, pretty much released. Okay, the spring pressure is released. Yep, there it goes. The spring is still attached, and you can always, it didn't fall in. I'll show you in a second. Alright, so now the idea here is not to get the spring to disconnect. Okay, so here's our spring just laying there. As you can see, it's still latched on, so I just let it down and let it be. Okay, let's disconnect the metal pick. There we go. So as you can see, I can pick it up with the metal, with the magnet, and still grab it. You do not want it to shoot out. If it shoots out, it's a big problem. Now throttle body is basically ready to be pulled out, and I'm gonna make part, what is it gonna be, part 5. There's basically only 4 screws here that hold throttle body. 4 bolts rather, 4 Allen bolts. So once we take these bolts out, oh actually no, wait, not yet. The holes, to make life easier, I'm gonna do with this hose, because it will be replaced regardless. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my pliers, my knife, and try to break it. Can't. Use my knife then and a pick. I just wanted to break it anyway because it's just gonna be so much easier to work with pipe not in place. Try not to break the top pipe, of course. This pipe is something that you would need. Hopefully it won't break. This thing, there we go. Just gonna cut it off and work. You gotta get a new pipe anyway, you need it regardless of the outcome. So let's try started it and break it off. Pliers or whatever. I need a bigger plier for this, but is what it is. Also make sure that throttle is closed, of course, so the crap doesn't start falling in there into your throttle. But you know, there's a screwdriver. Screwdriver I'll take. Okay, get the screwdriver. Here's our pipe. Broke it into 2 halves. There we go. Now we can move this pipe out the way a little bit, as you can see. Not much, but still helps. Let me just undo this clip. That holds the other pipe. Now we can move it out the way completely. Later on, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this with the knife to keep the actual coupler. Okay, so we can put new pipe on existing pipe to save some money on replacing those other pipes. Why not? And this pipe in there, if you want to, you can actually just try to break it off. If it will break, it will break. It will be easier to take throttle body out. With the new pipe, it's going to be very flexible, so that's not an issue. But this pipe being as what it is, it's actually in very unfortunate place, so I don't think I can break it. Well, if it's there, it's there. It's gonna break itself anyway. Alright, well, next part is we're gonna remove throttle body itself.